Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning back in. Let's do another pick-a-card reading. For this reading, I have an important and urgent message for you to tune into before you move forward. I've got 4 decks, so I'm going to do 4 different readings. And of course, as always, the timestamps are in the description box. So for this pick-a-card reading, I really want you to focus on either a specific issue or just in general, but I want you to sort of stop a little bit and have a listen to this message to see what you need to take in before you move forward. You could be in a difficult situation, or perhaps you want to take an action, or perhaps you're stuck and you're not sure what to do next. In all cases, it's a really good time for you to just stop a little bit, tune into this urgent message before you move forward. So I'll see you in your reading. Okay, let's begin with Titania's fortune cards. These are very beautiful cards and probably my favorite deck of all time. So I'm going to draw a 3x5. I think I'm going to draw a 3x5 for most readings. There's such an excellent layout with amazing details and connections. So let's go ahead and deal out your 3x5. Okay, look at your 3x5. The road really stands out to me in the middle of all this because it is so aligned with the question. I said, take a stop, take a breath, take a breather before you move forward. And the path is really a card of motion and forward movement. So it really highlights this idea of being on a path and where are we heading. We have a relationship element that appears strongly in your cards. We have the man and the heart and the ring in the bottom line. This can be about the job, I have to say, because the lily as your first card, as well as the fox in this relationship line, it can highlight your job or your work. There is the corner cards that also bring in the idea of a relationship. We have the lily and the man, which can represent a professional connection, or possibly your father, or maybe someone older, and it can also represent someone like a life partner or someone you've known a long time. There is a sense of maturity in the relationship and calm around it, but when we look at the heart and clouds, there can be some, I would say, insecurities and issues around how you feel, how they feel. Perhaps there are question marks around whether you reciprocate each other's feelings. It is a situation of a bit of an insecurity here. So let's get into the details of the 3x5. Let's start with the top row. We have the lily, ship, bear, and then the letter and clouds. So the letter and clouds is news that is a little bit perturbing. It can offset a little bit your direction. The lily, ship, and bear is very important with regards to where you're heading in life and your projects and your goals. And it also has much to do with empowerment. So there is a sense of really taking charge of your direction and moving forward in your desired direction. The thing about the letter and clouds in this context is that you could have to deal with some information or news that comes through, but I also think it's possible that you're the one who needs to communicate something and it is weighing a little bit on you. You're not sure maybe what to say, how to vocalize it, how to express it. So I would say first think about where you want to go with this, where you're heading. Think about your priorities and your direction, and then based on that, communicate what you need to communicate. I also think that if news comes your way and it perturbs you or it annoys you or it causes you to rock the boat a little bit, I think it's important not to be rocked by the boat. It's really important that you stand your ground in the face of any potentially perturbing news or upsetting information that comes your way. And we see that very strongly from the bear being in the center of the line here, and it is also part of the central column. And I also see it very clearly in the second row. We're going to get there in just a few seconds. So the lily, ship, and bear are really about standing strong with your direction, with where you're heading, and really having confidence in yourself and your path ahead. So if there are things that are thrown your way, you'll be able to stand your ground in the face of them. Don't let them sway you. In the second row, we have a very clear message about this. It mainly comes from the anchor. And the anchor is a little bit like the bear in that it is very strong, very solid. And with the road, it really confirms the idea of keep going where you're going. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't make changes at this time. The clover and cross are very beautiful to find together. This is very much a combination of good fortune and luck. And the idea that there is like this invisible guidance that is guiding your path, it confirms very clearly that you are on the right path. You are heading in the right direction. And the fish on the other side of the anchor is a beautiful message of success and well-being and abundance. And so it really confirms this idea that what you are doing is going to lead to the success that you're after, and it is going to get you the rewards. So just stepping back a little bit in the context of the question, we said this is a message that you need to hear now before moving forward. So if by any chance you were thinking of making changes, then really this set of cards here is clearly telling us that, well, if you're going to make any changes, leave them within the bigger circumstance or scenario that you're working through, because this is on the right track. Don't be swayed, don't be distracted, don't be discouraged by naysayers, negativity, or something perturbing. You are on the right track. Trust your path. In the bottom row, we have the relationship element that comes through very clearly through the ring in the middle. On top of that, we have the man, and we have the garden and heart. So the heart, garden, and ring can very much represent a meeting or a date or a gathering that is strongly nurturing of the relationship. These can be happy times, happy connections. The fox, though, is a little bit tricky when it comes to relationships. It's not always a transparent card. It can be a clever and smart card, but when it comes to people, and we're seeing it between two relationship cards, it tends to represent someone who is not really transparent and someone who is not wholehearted, someone who is not fully invested in the relationship. So I think that you want to be careful, at least at first, and you want to be aware that people might have a different agenda, different thoughts. Now, I also want to say that the work, career, maybe business element is also salient in the cards. The garden, fox, and lily can be work cards. And so in this sense, the fox and man can represent a colleague or someone else on the job. Maybe it's a customer that is represented by these cards, or some kind of partnership that you work through in your business or your work. Now, in this sense, I think the cards are supportive. And even though the somewhat challenging aspects of the fox can still come through, I do think that with the ring in the middle here and the messages that we saw earlier, you want to stick with this, you want to live up to your commitments, and you want to deliver on your promise, whatever that is. When it comes to a relationship, like a personal relationship, then I would say work with it. But this doesn't mean that you're not aware that there can be some lack of transparency or someone who is not fully invested in this, so watch for this, and remember to stand strong in your direction, in your path. Okay, so don't even let people or other issues here to sway you from your path. So with this said, let's move on to the columns. We have the lily, clover, and heart. This is really a very beautiful combination. The clover and heart is a very happy pair that tells us that you could really achieve a wish. And with the lily here, it can be about your work, but maybe just in general, maybe something that you've been wanting for a while. It is also a very good combination for reassuring you that your life is guarded and that there is this sense of protection that we're seeing around your life. The ship, cross, and garden is very much a destined trip. And it's also possibly reaching a certain destination, because the garden is about a place, and we also saw the anchor on the other side of the road. So it's like you're going somewhere. And I think it has much to do with that sense of achievement or landing, even if it's not physical. It's like the idea of landing, arriving to that space or situation that you want to be, you want to achieve. And I really think that is ahead for you. So the ship and cross is a destined journey. This is meant to be, you are meant to meet this person, you are meant to pursue this journey. Okay, so don't again, if there are naysayers or people who are trying to rock you away from this, you know, I really want you to be on top of it and to keep pursuing what you know you need to be pursuing. And the central column is yet another confirmation of this. Now, these two lines are pretty important because they are the central cards of the 3x5. So again, we are seeing this idea of continuing with the path that you're on. Stand strong in this path. Don't sway, don't wobble, don't hesitate, don't doubt yourself. You really need to be pursuing this. The ring is associated with this idea of repetition, and it's also about commitment. So it's really telling us keep going, okay? Don't be swayed. Stick strong with your foundations, with your convictions, with this path that you're on. It is meant to be. The letter anchor and fox is a very bright combination in terms of strength as well, because the anchor is a card of security. And with the fox, I really think that you are going to see through any potentially negative aspects of the fox. Normally, the letter and anchor points to an approval of sorts, where you get the positive feedback. It's like a positive, strong conclusion. So it's a pretty strong combination, mainly because the anchor is in the middle. And when it comes to the combination with the fox, I am very certain that you will be able to set some firm boundaries to anyone who tries to distract you away from your path or tries to be funny with you, if you know what I mean. So definitely stand strong and don't hesitate to make the point. Don't hesitate to not catch the ball. Don't hesitate not to indulge these people who are trying to sway. Now, in the context of work, this is a very bright combination as well. The fox here can represent the job offer in context with the letter, and with the anchor here being a positive conclusion. So you could get the offer that you want. And we saw the other work-related cards that are also well supported. So this can be a strong message of you're going to get it. You're going to get it. It's going to arrive. It's most probably going to be what you want. And finally, we have the clouds, fish, and man. This is the most challenging line of your spread, and it's really not that challenging because the clouds is, yes, it's a bit of a tricky card, but it's also not a very challenging card like other cards in the deck, like the whip, the scythe, the coffin, and others. It's really just the fox that's a little bit tricky, but again, it has a positive work element. And the clouds is about confusion, nebulous affairs, things not being clear. With the fish here, there can be financial issues. And with the man, he could be implicated in these issues. So maybe this is money that you owe or money that he owes, or perhaps there's an expense in relation to this person. Perhaps this is a transaction, or perhaps you're negotiating the financial aspects of the job offer, which would be advised. I would advise you to see if you can negotiate a little bit, and also probably not compromise on the position that you're after. Now, when it comes to more personal relationships, I think the more negative aspects of this man can come through. Now, this doesn't kill off the relationship. It doesn't completely dismiss the possibility of there being a good relationship here, but it is really about being aware that there are some issues that are going to probably come through. But again, these issues should not distract you from where you're heading. You are absolutely on the right path, okay? And I really want you to have faith in yourself and to really stand strong in your conviction and the knowledge that you are on the right path. So just being a little bit aware of potential issues with this man here, but still broadly and in general and across all the other lines, this is a very strong and supportive message for you to keep doing what you're doing. So we can draw more indications out of this 3x5. It's always good to look at the big diagonals here, and this is a really positive line. So again, this really helps overturn the potentially challenging aspects around this man, because the anchor is usually in the context of a relationship, someone supportive, someone trustworthy, someone who has your back. And on top of that, we have the bear and the heart and cross, which is meant to be a positive connection here. So a very supportive person. Is just that, like we said, some issues sort of come through, but bear with them. And then we have the lily, cross, into the ring, anchor, and clouds. So these are very strong cards, very supportive of the connection of the relationship or of the commitment that is represented by the ring. It is absolutely meant to be. We have the lily and cross that really highlight some bigger aspect and deeper aspect of your life. This is very much about your path and your destiny. So really, really pay close attention to this. Again, the anchor and ring, you are on the right path. Something is going to be thrown your way. It's a speed bump. It might try to distract you. Do not be distracted. Okay, you are on the right path. Honestly, folks, I think this is a very valuable message in answering this question for this pick-a-card that we're doing, because sometimes things come our way and they cause doubt and they put us in a situation where we're questioning when we shouldn't. So I really appreciate this clarity. And, you know, we have an overwhelming number of cards here that support this path that you're on. And really just the clouds and the fox that could, you know, just sort of rock your boat a little bit. And it's really connected to this person. So the message is pretty clear as far as I'm concerned. Look at this clover, garden, road, letter, and fish. These are great for money, for success, for goal achievement, and probably for news that answers a wish like we saw in this column here. And then we have the clover, ship, into the road, fox, and fish. So these two are really good for money and work, and the ship is also great for projects. So you're definitely on the right path, especially when it comes to money and work. When it comes to relationships, it's also pretty positive. But again, it's just the fox, you know, asking you to be a bit more self-interested and aware. Another set of cards that really jumps out to me is the 3 central cards. So you see these 3 cards here, they're like the inside of the outer frame of the 3x5. And the cross, road, and anchor is a clear message that you are on the right path. This is meant to be. Keep going. Don't be swayed. Don't change this current set of objectives and path and journey that you're on, because it is meant to be. You are meant to pursue this. So stand strong in it. Don't be dissuaded. Don't hesitate. Don't catch a naysayer's ball. Okay, keep going. You're meant to pursue this. Stand strong in this, and it will help you achieve your goals. I think this is very much about your deeper path. We have some spiritual cards in here. We have the cross mainly, and also next to the clover and lily, and also the heart. Really pursuing what you want, really pursuing, this is meant to be for you. So a beautiful message here for you. I hope you've stopped a little bit to think about this and then move forward in this confidence that you are on the right path. Let me know how it plays out for you. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts and your comments. Very best of luck with this. Until we meet again, as always, thank you so much for being part of this, and I'm looking forward to our next reading together. Okay, this is for the Silhouettes deck. This is my own deck. And I want us to do an extended diamond layout for this deck. And remember, we are focusing on what you need to hear now. This is an urgent message that I wish for you to stop and listen to before you move forward. So let's take in these messages, just shuffling a little bit the deck, and let's deal out your diamond. Wow. Wow. I'm really impressed by these cards. They are really speaking to me. Yes, there is a challenging phase ahead probably, but look at the clover right in the middle of this diamond. I really think you are going to be in a position to move on successfully. And this is very much the advice and very much the message coming through these cards. You are doing the right thing by breaking out, by leaving, by moving on. And honestly, I think this has to happen now. And don't worry, things are going to be worked out. So when we look at this part of the diamond, this is where the message stands out very strongly. And I normally start reading the cards in a different order, but I'm really drawn to this here. The whip is on the far right of your diamond. It tends to be associated with the later aspects of a story unfolding. And we have this mini cross or the mini diamond in here. and they are around a relationship. Look, it's very clear this relationship needs to end, but the clover in here and the clover in the center really tells us that this is what you should be doing right now. This is absolutely the right thing for you to do. So try not to move past this with a heavy heart. Try to see this as really an opportunity to give yourself the room and the space. And I would also think a sense of strength and dignity when you're past this. When I back up to this side, we see the rider and the man. So this is probably the relationship that is going to end. It looks like it was a good relationship, or there were good times. We have the key and the clover and the stork with the man, and then the rider in the middle here is about, it can also represent the relationship because the rider is sometimes associated with the knight in shining armor. But there are also changes and news, communications here that come through and that help you move past this. Or they could just represent that there were good times with this person. But we have a very strong message of a relationship ending. In the later parts here, the future later parts, we have the coffin and ring. We also have the coffin and whip, and the whip and ring. And then when we look at this side of the outer cards of the diamonds, we also have a very clear message. And when we look at this one, we also have a very clear message of an ending. So very powerful and clear. And I mean, just in your face cards, typical Lenormand style of being forthright and honest and not mincing words. So it's very clear to me that you need to move on from this relationship and that it is absolutely the right thing to do at this time. So let's back up to the main lines. We've got the snake, bear, clover, letter, and road. This is also a parting because of the snake, and with the bear, this can be a major turning around, major change here. And the letter and road can mean that news is received, but I also think that it could be that, the parting that you don't hear anymore. The the snake is a card of silence. So I think that at this point, you might want to let go of communicating further. And, maybe these are the last few words or, something like that, depending on your specifics. But the idea is that there is a parting and that there is no longer a communication like before, probably. In the central row, we have the key, rider, clover, and the ring and whip. So again, with the key, rider, and clover, this is a confirmation of being on the right path. The rider is a movement card. It is also a messenger and can represent news. But when we see it with the ring and whip, it is really about moving forward with this separation. And both the key and clover are very reassuring cards telling you that you are on the right track, on the right path from parting and separating. So have some faith in what's going on, even if it looks really challenging, even if you're doing this with a bit of a heavy heart. It is time to part. It is time to go your own way and separate from this. The whip is a pretty aggressive card. It's really not an easy card. And it has also to do with the idea of you releasing yourself aggressively from the situation. Now, I do think this is mainly a relationship. We have the ring and heart and we have the man, but it can also represent the idea of releasing yourself from certain commitments, certain engagements, and just really bringing this to an end. Let's focus on the portrait within the diamond here. We've got many things we can read. The stork, rider, and man is changes in the relationship. There can be news, and this, I think, contributes to how you shake things up moving forward. Maybe there's a realization that you made, or this person did something, and it gives you the information that you need to move on. Now, by themselves, these cards would be really bright, even encouraging a relationship. But we have to take them in the context of the bigger diamond. And we see here that there is a very clear message of parting and separation. And we see this message recur in many other lines and structures in this diamond. So when we're looking at what's going on here, we have to take it in a slightly different context so that it makes sense with the rest of the cards. And what I think is going on with the Stork Rider and Man is that this person may have moved on, or perhaps he's making changes in his own goals, in his own directions. And this can contribute to you deciding that this has to end, this has to change, and you're moving on in a different direction. We read the Coffin, Ring, and Heart, and this is a very clear message of the end of a relationship. I think the idea of letting go with a heavy heart comes through because of the Ring and Heart, but also we have the Whip and Heart, the Ring and Whip. So I feel there's a bit of a heartbreak here. And we also have the Snake, which can be pretty sharp in this way. And so I feel that you really need to protect your heart, okay, and move on from this and let it go. Now, we can read the diagonals as well. The Man, Clover, and Coffin is an ending and one that is meant to be. And then the Stork, Clover, and Heart is a beautiful combination for happiness and positive change. So again, in the context of everything else that's going, I really feel that you need to trust the change. You need to have faith that this is the better way to go right now and to let this go. I think with the Clover and Heart, and in the wake of these changes that you're making, and which is the release from the relationship, I think this is about really protecting your heart, protecting how you feel, and really putting yourself first and not compromising on your sense of dignity, your sense of self-appreciation. I really don't want this to be compromised for you. So if this means that you release yourself from this relationship or the circumstance, I certainly prefer, and I wish for you to do this with a lot of faith in yourself and trust that this is meant to be. Now, the Stork, Bear, and Coffin is another very clear indication of an ending, and it's a significant ending. Really, there's no sugarcoating this. This is not necessarily easy, but it is important that it happens now. And the Man, Letter, and Heart, I would have taken this to mean like a positive communication in regards to feelings, but again, I have to take this in the context of the bigger spread and suggest instead that the exchanges that are happening here, that maybe happened before or that had been happening, are going to have to be downplayed in favor of the release. So if there is, the way I'm seeing this, or the way I can imagine this playing out in your relationship, is if there is a bit of a push-pull, if you're feeling that this person still wants you to stay in the loop because they're saying nice things to you, or because you feel there could be a potential to get in touch again, I really want you to downplay this in favor of the need to release yourself from the relationship. I don't want this to be more toxic. I think there is a toxic element really coming through the Snake, and I think it's important that if you feel there are prospects for fixing this or being in touch again with this person or reestablishing a kinder communication, I wish for you not to be distracted by the need to release yourself from this. Okay, so I wish for you to be strong and to have faith in the need to release this. This is absolutely meant to be, and I really want you to focus on the very, very beautiful clover that figures right in the middle of your diamond. So we read these sides of the diamond. We can read these sides as well. The Key, Man, and Road, along with the Heart and Whip, is another clear indication that it is the right thing to do to let go of this relationship. And we see this in the top as well. The Key, as you know, a major card in driving the line, because it's the first card, tells us that this is the right thing to do. The Stork, Snake, Coffin, and Whip is a very clear combination of release and letting go of this relationship. This is a breakup, this is a parting, this is a need to let go, and it is in your advantage, it is in your best interest to accept this and move on at this time. So similar messages we're seeing in the top side and the bottom side of the diamond. Now, we can also look a little bit at the corner cards. I'm seeing the snake and road. Again, this is a turning away, and the key and whip. Again, there is this idea of a release and a conflict or a separation. So, you know, the messages are clear. We could look at the stork and heart. Again, by itself, this combination would have boded well for a relationship. But when we look at the coffin and man, it's best to release. It's best to let go. The top mini cross or mini diamond is around the bear. And the bear is a card of everything big. It makes things important. I really wish for you to be strong. And it is next to the clover. The ending cards are very clear. So this is about your mindset and your sense of self, your sense of empowerment. Don't compromise at this point. Let it go. Move on. This is meant to be for you, and I want you to protect your heart. In the bottom row, in the bottom set of cards here around the mini diamond and cross, we have an interesting set of cards because it seems to be a little bit different from everything else. It's surrounding the letter, and the cards are very good. So there can be some very good news here, probably relieving news, similar to what we saw in this line here, because the rider and letter are also news cards. And this can be a positive message that helps you move on. Now, here's what I'm suspecting. I'm suspecting a third party in the relationship. The snake is typically associated with someone who is interfering in the relationship or a competition in the relationship. And I really feel, because of the ring and whip and coffin here, I think you're best getting out of this triangle. Okay, so if this is a love triangle, you definitely want to get out of it because it's toxic and it's not really good. With the letter around here, you'll be able to make the point and move on. And, you know, it might be well received. And I don't know if you want to hear this, but it might be the right thing where, you know, when you leave, it's best. Now, here's what. I have to make an allowance for the possibility of the relationship with a third party to fall apart. And maybe that advantages you. And the reason that's possible is because of the clover in the middle here, which is an all-around lucky card, and because the snake represents the third party or the other person who's interfering in the relationship, and we see the snake next to these ending cards. So I have to make an allowance for that, but I'm not inclined to make this the main interpretation because I think that there are strong cards that advise you to take charge of the situation and to move on. Now, if later on things sort of fall into place again and this triangle is, you know, falls apart and then a new relationship can be built, maybe. But I think at this time, it's important for you to close the door on this and move on. And even if it's a bit hard, I really want you to protect your heart and to protect your feelings and move on from this because it does feel a little bit toxic. We can look at the inner diamond. We've got the rider, bear, ring, and letter. So this actually bodes really well for a relationship. Is there a new relationship that comes through? Possibly, but I really think that this is more about you getting out of the triangle because you hear that, you know, the other connection is probably working out better. So I realize this can be a difficult message, but I can't overlook the central position of the clover, which really, if it's not apparent now, it probably isn't. This is definitely the right thing to get out of at this point. Get out of this, okay? Protect yourself, move on and stand your ground. Have faith in yourself, be strong, and move on. Okay, you don't want to be part of this right now. It has to be restructured. You absolutely need to distance yourself from it. And you are going to feel like you did the right thing for yourself. You're going to have a strong sense of appreciation and empowerment from taking that step back and moving on. Now, I do feel this is mainly about love and personal relationships, but it can be about friendships and it can be about work. I'm not seeing the work element so strongly here, but it can be other relationships or more generally some kind of situation or involvement that you're in. It is definitely time to get out of it. So an interesting message, a challenging phase, but also a clear message that this is meant to be. Hold tight until the luck and the benevolent energy that's going to come through from this reveals itself. Okay, so be patient with that. Have faith in yourself. Move on. Protect yourself. Love yourself. And allow this to sort of fall apart behind you as you move forward in your life with faith in yourself and in your path. So let me know what you make of these somewhat heavy cards, but also powerful cards. I'm really looking forward to your thoughts and your comments about this. Leave me a few below. And until we meet again, thank you so much as always. And I'm looking forward to our next reading together. Okay, this is the Rana George deck. It's a beautiful, beautiful deck that I want to integrate more often in my pick-a-card readings and other readings for the channel. It is always shuffled. All of my decks are always shuffled between readings, before readings. And let's do a 3x5 for you. So the bear fell out of the deck. The bear is a card of strength and empowerment, so you could be in for a step up. Now I'm not gonna leave the card aside. I'm gonna put it back into the deck, just keeping in mind this idea of strength for this reading. Okay, here is your 3x5, and these are some beautiful cards. As you can see, they have a lovely gold on them. We have the fish right in the middle of your 3x5. The fish is a card of abundance, of wealth, of success and ambition, and it also has to do with a sense of financial independence and empowerment. We have the anchor as your first card and the bear, which popped out of the deck as well. What's interesting is that both of these cards are similar in the sense that they are both really strong cards. This is very much about you standing your ground and feeling empowered. I also think that because of the fish in the center here, which with the bear can represent wealth, and with the anchor suggests security, financial security, you could be in for more money, or perhaps the advice is that you pursue more income or increase your sense of abundance and security in that sense before moving forward. At least as you move forward, keep this in mind. This is very important for you. We have the child and dog. As it stands, it can represent a new relationship, a new friendship. But with the fish and in the context of work, it can either mean that you land a new job or that you land a new customer if you're in business for yourself, or perhaps you employ someone if, again, you run your own thing. In all cases, this is very much about a new opportunity. The dog, when it comes to the job or work, tends to be a junior card. And so maybe you're starting something new, or perhaps you're moving into a new venture that's maybe you don't have a lot of experience with it, but it's still looking like a venture that could give you quite a bit of potential. So focus on the security aspect, on the abundance aspect, and keep in mind that you could be in for a lovely new opportunity, and one that puts you on a stronger footing with regards to not just the financial element, but in general. You have a greater sense of self and empowerment. You could be in for more responsibilities as well. The fox is another card of work. It represents the job. We'll get to it when we get to the second row. But we do have a few indications about the focus on work, money, empowerment, and security in this sense. So I would say you want to keep this in mind as you move forward. So with this said, let's get into the rows and columns of this beautiful 3x5. We have the anchor next to the heart, and we have the mice. It's several mice in Rana George's deck. In mine, it's one mouse. And we have the moon and dog. So the mice can be a somewhat challenging card. Usually when it comes to relationships and feelings, it brings about doubt and suspicions. We see it between the heart and the moon. Both of these cards can bring up a sense of feelings. And so there could be a bit of an insecurity here that comes to the surface. But I have to say, because of the anchor and the dog on the other side of the moon, you don't need to be too doubtful or too concerned about the relationship or this new opportunity if that's what the dog is representing because of its corner card here. The moon can also be a card of offers and proposals and invitations, and this ties into the dog. Perhaps this is someone who invites you or whom you invite. And again, with the mouse, there can be a bit of a doubtful situation here. I would say there's no need to reject the proposal or reject this person outright, but because of the mice and the cards, just keep in mind a little bit that you don't want to be too quick to trust them. Maybe just keep in mind they might have their own insecurities or fears, and things like that. Just sort of being in the picture with regards to that. But there's no need to exaggerate anything, or to be overly doubtful, or skeptical. Just sort of go with what's coming through here, what's unfolding. In the second row, we have the fox and roach, and we have the fish in the middle, and the beautiful house and key. So definitely when we have the house and key, this can bring up property, investments, assets. If it's not a house or an apartment or something like that in a straightforward way, it can represent assets more generally. And really, because of the fish here, this idea can be highlighted. The thing about the fox and road is that you could be making changes in this regard. And I would say positive changes. We have the key at the end here, and we have the strong anchor and bear and a new opportunity. So it looks like you're in for more money, more income. Because the road can be about separations and letting go and moving on, and the fox can be, it can be a little bit challenging, but what I'm thinking in the context of the sign is that it can be someone you work with in order to work through these matters here, property. So they can be like someone who rents from you, or you could be a renter, or they could be an agent, or someone you work with like an accountant, those sorts of people, who help you work through your investments or your property or, your financial affairs here. I have to say that you could be buying and selling, in which case it goes really, really well. I think in this sense, you want to work with someone, but make sure you choose the right person. In the context of work, there could be a new job here. The road is, the idea of a crossroads is very well highlighted in this cards, this idea of a choice. So you could be leaving a job and starting a new one. Maybe you're starting your home-based business. You're maybe choosing to leave the job and trying your own thing at home. This can also be represented by the cards. And because of the fish in the center here and it being surrounded by, first off, more or less neutral and positive cards, and then the key at the end of the line, I think you're in for more money, for more success, and you could be building your own thing moving forward. So again, a very empowering line. I am starting to see the encouragement that you might want to start doing something for yourself. Even if it's not full-time yet, even if you stick with the job a while longer and things like that, you want to try to build something for yourself, maybe starting a business, a side business, a project. We do have the sense of strength, independence, coming through the cards. The corner cards here, strength and independence, the new beginning, and building something for yourself through these cards. Very, very interesting and supportive messages. In the bottom row, we have the relationship element that comes through the woman. And the child here can represent a new relationship. And with the corner card, there is the friendship. The bird is a card of communication, and the tower and bear together clearly represent someone in authority. So again, we are seeing this idea of growth. Now, it can mean that you have a meeting with this person who is in authority, or she is somehow supportive, helps you move forward and helps you climb the ladder, so to speak, as we see through the tower and bear. Or it could just be a conversation with someone who could help you with your venture here. In all cases, I'm seeing growth, support, and the need to focus on certain expertise. So I think this is about refining your skills, refining your profile, and really making yourself ready for this adventure. So when we look at these cards in a practical way, there is quite a bit on your plate. If you're going to undertake this venture, you need to really build something solid. You need to be disciplined. You need to have a lot of strength and feel secure in your path. Really being willing to stand on your own 2 feet is really coming through these cards. And they are very encouraging for you to pursue your own projects, your own business, your own ambitions, and getting the help of the right people to move forward in this way. And if this is about a job, then again, there can be more responsibilities. You've got the support of, someone in authority like a boss or a manager. They really help you move forward. But it is very much on you to live up to the expectations. So some pretty empowering cards. This is about growing to the next level for you. Let's move on to the columns. We've got the Anchor, Fox, and Child. So this can very much be a new job, a new customer, a new partner, a new employee, depending on how you work. And I would also say this is a new set of responsibilities, probably a new set of disciplines. You're going to need to get the hang of this. Like we said, the Child and Dog is representing someone who's more junior, so it doesn't sound like you have a lot of experience with this yet, but you have to stick with it and do the right things and get the hang of this, how it works, so that you grow in it. The High Road and Woman on its own would be like a relationship combination. It can be that there are changes in your relationships, there are meetings, comings, goings, but I think in the broader context of what's going on here, which is more about your material success and your independence and your projects, this is really about pursuing things that you love and also tapping into certain relationships that help you with that. I have to also make an allowance for the possibility of you parting from a certain environment. We suggested that maybe you're moving away from the job to pursue your own business. And so it can also be reflected here. Maybe this is the person who employed you, or perhaps there are other such changes that come with the deal of you becoming more independent and, becoming more focused on your own projects, and building your own thing. So there can be relationship changes in this sense. Now the Mice and Fish and the Birds, I feel these are expenses. You're probably going to incur a few expenses. Be sure not to waste, try to count the costs and try to plan and budget, and avoid frivolous expenses as well. Avoid wasting time, wasteful people or, annoyances and things like that. Be in control of that and have a budget and be practical about this. The Moon House and Tower is great for growth. So again, this idea of an invitation or an offer is coming through because of the moon. With the house, it can be in someone's place, but because of the tower, I think this is more about a business or a corporation or some kind of authority. It can be a special group that you become part of, and I would say maybe an ivory towerish kind of group, so something special really that you could be part of moving forward. But again, in alignment with the idea of you building your thing here, you want to look at the long-term picture, take it easy, build from the ground up, step by step, and also keep your vision on the longer term. And finally, we have a very beautiful confirmation here that you are gonna get the hang of it and grow. So the dog is in contrast to the bear when it comes to that sense of expertise or level. The dog is junior, the bear is senior. And with the key here, which is an all-around success card, it's very clear that you are up to this and you will grow up to this, and you'll be able to step up to the responsibilities and be on top of it. It's also a combination that points to support. So again, this tower and bear and the dog and bear and key tells us that you've got the backing of someone, an authority who can call certain shots, for you and help you move forward. So any way you look at these cards, any way you slice the combinations, there is lots of support for you to embrace an opportunity to grow and to really step up to this. I am seeing that you're going to need to do the work Okay, this is not necessarily easy, and it could feel at times that it's just, routine and a bit boring, but you really have to keep at it, and you're going to see that you're going to break through and go up to that next level. And I do think this means more money, more security, more empowerment, more authority, more responsibility. So really, take this as a message that you need to embrace that sense of growth and empowerment. I think that you are no longer going to stay in this level that you're at now. This is time for a change to the next level, a change to the bigger, stronger, more responsible, more powerful, more empowered. Okay, so embrace that bigger side of you. Don't shy away from it. It might take a bit of courage and a bit of work, but you're up for it. We can also look at a few diagonals here. They're always interesting to dig out more details. We have the child road, mice into the house, and bear. So the house and bear is interesting. It's usually a combination that points to parents because each of them represents a parent. The house is typically the father, and you can see Rana George's insets here. I love them. They're so beautiful, and they're clear. It's easy to look at them. And the bear tends to be associated with the mother. So when they show up, they tend to highlight that aspect. But I don't think the idea of parents is so much coming into play here. Maybe somehow in your specifics, they come into the picture. And if they do, in this sense, you might sort of fall off the same page with them, and you might do your own thing and, move away from maybe the way the family has done things as you strike out on your own. That's possible. Another way to look at this combination is that you change jobs. Like we said, the child end road is a new beginning, and the mice here can make it a bit of a bumpy road, but again, you are building something solid, so don't expect things to come all that easily. You're going to need to put in a bit of work and effort, and you're going to need to, build consistently. The bear in house can also represent a manager, a boss, someone in authority, and this is probably someone whom you consult to work through some of the issues that you could be going through. The mice and bird on either side of the fish in this column, remember we said this is about, waste and expenditures. So you might want to, make sure that you're doing things right. And if you need the help of someone, then do that. But also, I think there is a need to be disciplined and to be on top of your affairs. So no wasting time, no wobbling, not being all over the place, really bringing yourself focused into your objectives. And the other set of diagonals is the anchor road into the bird, house, and dog. So we have sort of similar aspects here because we have the road and house that figure in both diagonal sets. This is about change. And I think with the anchor and road and bird, you want to be a bit more flexible about certain things, around what you're building or around the kinds of people you consult to get this going. You sort of need to explore a little bit. And then with the house and dog, you're probably going to settle on this foundation, which is represented by the house, and build from there in order to become, the boss or this new, more empowered person that we said you're in for at this stage. So this is also one way we could read the cards. The house can also represent your job, and with the dog, it can be about the team on the job. And here with the bird, there can be discussions and dialogues and debates. And so with the road, it's really about exploring options. So you're also going to have to open your mind a little bit and do things a little bit differently than what you're used to. This calls for creativity, for exploring options, for talking to other people, informing yourself, and really being active. There's a lot of activity in here. There's a lot of practical elements at play for you. We can also look at the fox woman into the fish, moon, and key. So this can be a beautiful combination for a new job, a new offer, a new opportunity that proves to be really supportive. The fox can be a tricky card, especially with people, and it can also be about the job. But when it comes to people, you're going to need to be diplomatic and also need to be aware that some other people are also playing to win. So make sure you understand the game and you protect your interests. We also have the fox next to the heart. So again, this idea of lack of transparency, or, the tricky sides of the fox when it comes to relationships especially. But then we have the fish, tower, and key. So I'm seeing some success over the long term here. These are really practical cards. They really bring into focus your material success and your sense of empowerment. And really, this is an important message. I have to say that you're not fooling around anymore. This is about building something really solid. Get your act together, do this thing, whether it's a new job, a new project, a new business, and you're going to need to stand on your own 2 feet, doing things right with your money, with your home, with your assets, with your job, with your career, with your business, and really being willing to do the work and to learn from people who've done this before you, and to grow. So very much focused on skills, self-control, self-direction, what you're building, your assets, your money, very much in focus for you. And the key takeaway is, you're at a juncture now where you need to grow. So don't pull back, don't keep yourself small, be willing to do the work and grow to the next level. This might take some courage and strength and discipline, but you're up for this. So I don't want you to waste time anymore. Okay, and don't wobble anymore about what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing this, embrace it, go for it, and grow. Let me know how you like these thoughts and ideas. I'm always looking forward to them. And until we meet again, thank you so much for being part of this, and I'm looking forward to our next reading together. So here we are with the Palimpsest deck, and this is quite an interesting deck. It doesn't have many colors, but the illustrations are pretty unique, and the pip cards show really nicely on the card. So like we said, we are focusing on a message that you need to hear now. So this is pretty urgent, and I wish for you to stop and tune into this message in this reading before you move forward. So let's take in those messages together. And as always, my deck is always shuffled between readings, and we are ready to deal out your extended diamonds. I'm going to do that for you, and we'll see what this message brings. Okay, here is your set of cards for you. I am seeing several challenges, but I'm also seeing some layered indications, and I think this is a reading that has a bit more depth than we might initially get as an impression from looking at the cards, even if they're challenging. Now, in the center of your diamond, you have the mice. The mice is a typically challenging card, but it's not overly challenging. It indicates little issues here and there. And the thing about it is that it points to losses, mistrust, hesitation, the little issues that go wrong here and there. I'm seeing a strong message of a relationship because we have both the woman and the man figuring together in this row here, and we have the bear next to it, which signifies that this is an important relationship. But in addition to the mice being a bit challenging like that, when it comes to relationship, the mice bring challenges in terms of trust issues and a sense of not feeling it. On top of that, the mice are not alone in being challenging. In here we also have the birds and the snake. The snake is tough when it comes to relationships. It can suggest a third party, a love triangle, someone who is dishonest, someone who is fake and false to your face. And so when we see it next to the woman and the birds, I think it very much represents a third party or someone who's trying to interfere in your relationship, possibly competition in other contexts. Typically, when we see the woman and man together, it points to a love relationship, but it can apply in other connections in your life, including professional connections and things like that. Now, the corner cards are interesting. The corner cards bring a sense of direction and of some mysterious things that are in process of unfolding. The cross and roads very clearly suggest being at crossroads. So this is a juncture where you're going to need to make some decisions. I feel they can be a little bit tricky, not so much difficult and hard, but a bit tricky. You know, they require a certain level of awareness. And the other set of corner cards is the Rider and the Book. And this can mean a revelation or some news that comes through, but also a sense of mystery in terms of where you're heading. So this is what is curious about the spread and what is layered, is that there is a mystery element at play here, and there is a sense of things being in the making. So this puts you in a situation of uncertainty, and you could be hesitating or you could be having doubts because you don't have all the information that you need. It's almost like you're moving forward in the dark a little bit. But I do see the clover in your cards, and the cross is a card of destiny. So we have this element of mystery, but also guidance at play in your cards. So let's get into the lines and build the diamond from the ground up. In the column, we have the Book, Mountain, and then the Mice, Man, and Rider. So the Book and Mountain suggests that you're in for a chapter that has, as it stands, unknowns. There is a mystery, there are unknown factors. It's like things are unclear and not revealed. So this can cause you some frustration. And we certainly see this frustration with the mice. And on top of that, the mice and the mountain points to speed bumps and obstacles. So with the mountain here, with the book here, there is that sense of things being out of reach, not being able to move forward. There is a blockage. And with the man and rider, it can refer to a relationship. But what is nice is that the rider is at the bottom part and it's after all of this stuff here. So there can be some forward movement after a phase of uncertainty, of being in the dark, and being blocked and stopped and feeling like you're stuck and you can't move forward. This man might be someone who helps you move forward, but I have to say that him being closer to the mice can suggest that he's not someone you're entirely trusting of, or perhaps there is a bit of a fallout here and you have to move forward from this stuckness. Looking at the central row, we also have some challenging messages and a few more than the ones in the column because we have the snake. The cross, snake, and mice, and then the anchor and road. So the snake and mice clearly point to challenge, and I would say with the cross, it can add to that. The cross is associated with destiny and deep life lessons, but it can also be a bit of a painful card. It can represent burdens and regrets, and like the deeper emotions that are associated with these. And so with the snake and mice, it's pretty clear that there is here a fallout and some disappointment, and also possibly a degree of regret and guilt and pain. And with the anchor and road, I think it is time to go. It is time to move on and to get unstuck from the pain and challenges that are associated with the first three cards. So I feel that this can be a bit heavy on you. I feel that you might find it difficult to pick up and move on. And you know, the mountain is also like that, a bit like the anchor. It's sort of stuck. And the bear also has that quality. So there is a heavier kind of thing that's weighing on you. But you know, it is time to move on and to release yourself from the challenges that are associated with this. Because of the question that we're working on, that we're focused on for this reading, I would say that this might be a prerequisite before you move on. And the roads is a card of the path, you know, and forward movement. So if you want to be able to move forward, you're going to have to make a concerted effort to release yourself from the negative energy that we're seeing in these cards here. Now let's turn to the portrait cards. We can look at several lines as well as diagonals in here. The bird, snake, and woman, like we suggested, can represent this third party in the relationship. When we look at the cards around the snake, you know, there can be some news or some information that comes about this person. But I also think this is a toxic person. I'm not seeing this person as salvageable in the sense that it's possible for her to become a nicer person or someone different. There's quite a bit of negativity around her, and I think the key here is to move on from this person. And the Clover, Anchor, and Bear, on the other hand, is a very positive line, really focused on your sense of strength and foundation, and also self-confidence. Both the Anchor and Bear are strong, solid cards. And with the Clover, there's a lot of luck that you have despite these challenges. When we look at the cards around here, it is very important for you to move on and to have faith in yourself and to step away from the challenges that we're seeing here. So again, there is this notion of having to let go of the negative energy, picking up and going in a different direction. It's going to take a bit of effort, I feel, because these are pretty weighty cards, and they have a deeper energy to them, but you've got what it takes to be strong and solid to move forward. And also, I think you're in a better position than you might think that you are. You might have doubts in yourself. You might think that you are at a disadvantage, but not necessarily. I think you could have more advantage than you think you do at this stage. We also have these two lines we can look at. We've got the Bird, Mountain, and Clover. So this can be really good news, actually, probably coming from a place abroad. It can also mean a short trip or going places. But I feel in the context that we've read in so far, this is a combination that helps you get unstuck. And we do have the Road at the end of this line here that also suggested that. Good news is also possible, or relieving news is possible because of the Clover on the other side of the Bird. And it probably comes after a time. So again, I'm seeing this idea of uncertainty, that things are blocked off, on hold. You could be stuck in a certain situation that is maybe pulling you down energetically, with its weightiness and challenge here. But it is about to turn around. So I think this is a really important message for you, that you want to hold on and be patient a little bit. The light is at the end of the tunnel. You are going to get over these speed bumps. You are going to be able to release yourself from this, and you are going to feel relief as you move forward. In the bottom row, we've touched on this at the outset. We have the relationship element here. It's very powerful because the woman and the man figure together. And with the Bear, this can be a really important relationship. So it's possible that there's a fallout with a third party and that you gain this relationship and that things are rectified in this way. It's just that it might take a bit of time for this to be worked out. And in the process, there's a bit of uncertainty around this, like you're not sure if this is going to work out. What I suggest is that you move on and you do your thing and get unstuck and release yourself from this negativity and allow things to fall into place. If they do, it's great. And if not, you would have already moved on pursuing your goals. So I think that's really important. When we look at the cards around the man, we see that there is forward movement. There can be some pretty serious challenges, but also the writer helps move things along. So there is progress, and I think what there really is, in light of the other cards, is there is clarity. This is important because we're seeing here that something is held off, there is something that's in the dark, and that could be weighing on you. But I do think that clarity comes through, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. The rider is great to help move things forward. It is also at the bottom of your cards here of the diamond. So it is like an outcome or bottom line card. And we also have the Road on the right hand side, which is associated with the later parts of the story. So what this means is that things move forward. There is like a green light, or there is information, or you get the stimulus that you need in order to move forward. And this situation of being in the dark and blocked and stuck and not knowing what's happening is going to be resolved in this sense. But it's just going to be a bit of time, a bit of patience is needed. Some tricky things need to be worked out. So this is where the challenge comes through. We can also read these diagonals. So the Bird, Mice, and Bear is another somewhat challenging set of cards here, especially because of the mice, but also with the Bear, it can sort of increase a little bit the challenges that are brought by the mice. So, and also by the Bird, because the Bird can sometimes be associated with anxiety and upset feelings. What I'm seeing here is that there could be a tough conversation that happens, or there is a conflict There can be the competitive element that comes into play, like we saw with the snake, especially in relationships. But it's like something bubbles up, okay? And something grows into a bigger deal. And it sounds like this is what needs to happen before there is clarity. And we see in the second diagonal is the one that has the clover. We have the woman, mice, and clover. This is positive for a recovery. So what was lost by the mouse is now recovered by the clover. But also what's possible is that you have an advantage over this person. So again, I'm seeing it's possible that this third party falls out of the picture and you gain ground. Especially that we have the anchor and clover and bear on either side here. So that is very possible. But again, it's a bit of a winding road before we get to that. It can be a bit of a time before this happens, and there are challenges in the meantime. Let's look at the sides of the diamond here. We've got the cross, bird, book, and then clover and road. I am seeing this as, again, that information or that piece of news that comes through to clarify and open up the path forward. So that is very reassuring here. And in the bottom row, we actually have something similar because we also have the rider. We have the cross, woman, rider, bear, and road. So here we're seeing a major change moving forward. And the news comes through about this woman or something that's happened to her that gives you probably a sigh of relief and you're able to move forward. So things are going to fall into place. I think they are connected with this third party or this other person that is adding a toxic energy to the situation. You just need to hang in there a while longer until things are figured out and things are revealed in time and restructured. And there is like, it's like a Rubik's Cube, where things are falling into place and they're turning and twisting. And there's like a roundabout way before things fall into place. This is what's happening. And this could cause you the challenge and probably the anxieties and annoyances that we're seeing here. And also the fact that things are not revealed, are not known, are out of sight and out of knowledge. This is causing you stuckness. So you have to be patient until the light is shined on all of this, that there is the news that comes through, there is forward movement that helps you get unstuck, and you'll be on your way. And despite the challenges that we see in some pretty central locations here, we also have some good messages on this side of the diamond, which is important because these are the futuremost parts of the story unfolding. So we see that you gain advantage over the challenges here. We saw this in this column. We see it in this direction here that is unfolding. So really, it's a bottleneck. It's a bit of a tough phase, but you're going to be on the other side of this. Just be patient for things to be worked out so that they can reveal themselves and you can move forward with this new advantage. So a bit of a challenging phase that you go through, but not without rewards, assuming you're going to be patient and you're going to trust things are unfolding, and then you'll be on your way and you will gain the advantage to move forward. We could perhaps also draw some connections between the inner diamond here. We have the snake, mountain, anchor, and man. So again, this is a confirmation of this roundabout approach. The snake and mountain is like going behind someone's back. So again, we're seeing this stuff going on behind the scenes, and the anchor and man could be the one who's working things out with this relationship, or there are changes happening here before there is news of them, before there is insight and understanding about the situation. Again, I think you're the one who gains advantage, but it's not immediate and it's not all that easy. It's a bit of a bottleneck, like I said. So let me know how this is playing out for you. Let me know where it's figuring in your life. I'd be really interested to know. Very best of luck with this. Be patient, have a bit of faith. It's going to work itself out and you'll be on top. Let me know how it goes, and thank you so much for tuning in as always. Until next time, take very good care of yourself.